Are you experiencing histamine intolerance? With 1% of the population experiencing this, it's about time we find out what the root causes are, how we could treat it, and what are the common symptoms of histamine intolerance. So let's first go to what exactly is this histamine? And it's a chemical that has many functions in the body. It is found naturally in food as well as certain beverages. It's necessary when you're having an allergic reaction, but the problem with histamine intolerance is not a sensitivity to histamine, but an overproduction of it. So if you have ever experienced headaches and migraines, as well as runny nose, nasal congestion, anywhere from gut issues, diarrhea, chronic gut pain, bloatedness, chronic fatigue, irregular cycles, anxiety, dizziness, hives and itchiness, as well as low blood pressure and respiratory or asthmatic conditions, it could actually be a histamine intolerance. So histamine is a chemical responsible for communicating messages to your brain. Very important, right? Well, here we go again with the gut-brain axis and connection. Histamine triggers the release of stomach acid to help with digestion, and it also gets released after some type of injury or allergic reaction as part of your immune system response. Problem occurs when you can no longer break down histamine because it's now going to negatively impact your body's functions. So the most common causes of a histamine intolerance starts in the gut. I always mention that the gut is the core of our health, and we get that with abs for exercise, but we seem to forget that our health starts in our gut. So if one has a leaky gut or one has low beneficial bacteria, then it could lead to the buildup of histamine. So we always want to look at the diet, the foods and the beverages that we're putting into our gut. So leaky gut can happen from antibiotic usage. It can happen from candida overgrowth. It can happen from eating foods with glyphosate, and that is the pre-harvest spray on non-GMO and GMO foods. That's why I always recommend eating organic. Or if you haven't gone through my glyphosate series, go to nancyguberti.com and /G-test, and you can get the free glyphosate educational series that shows you the foods and the beverages that glyphosate is loaded with, and I would advise staying away from it. This is where I always recommend an organic acid test as well as a glyphosate test. You can do both those tests with first morning urine, which is pretty non-invasive. Just find a good functional medicine practitioner to run those tests for you, and that will take the guesswork out of how your body's functioning and if you're loaded with glyphosate, which is also carcinogenic. Another reason to histamine intolerance are genetics and hormones as well. Did you know that estrogen is thought to activate histamine release from immune cells? So if the amount of estrogen produced is much higher than your progesterone, then you have estrogen dominance. And we see this a lot, that then it's linked to this histamine intolerance. So you can see this in perimenopausal and menopausal. You also want to, if you're a female, look at your cycle and see if you have these symptoms of histamine intolerance. This is where I highly recommend keeping a food journal to see what foods trigger any type of symptom that is not desirable, that is not healthy, because it very may be that you either have a leaky gut, you need probiotics, or you have to deal with histamine release. The adrenal system, if there's an imbalance or if there is a problem with your cortisol and your stress levels, this can also lead to histamine intolerance. So you want to look at lifestyle as well as the foods that you're consuming. So what are histamine-enriched foods and drinks? Well, foods that are high in histamines, our aged cheeses, our dairy products, our fermented products, alcohol, don't shoot the messenger, and then bananas as well, deli meats, pineapples, legumes, seafood, egg whites, dried fruits, avocados. So if you notice that you don't feel well after you eat these foods, again, go back to your food journal. And there are supplementations that you can take along the way to help with that. Again, an organic acid test would help show you the health of your gut, beneficial bacteria, candida overgrowth, your Krebs cycle, but it will also show insight into your neurotransmitters like your serotonin and your dopamine and your norepinephrine and your ephrin. That's really helpful to see about your adrenal system, as well as your vitamin C and B6 levels, all important to nourish the adrenal system. So it could be a multitude of factors that you're having this histamine intolerance. So you want to then stay away from these foods that can trigger too much histamine in your body, and look at those symptoms if you have any. And then also see, do you have eczema, any type of skin issues? Do you have abdominal cramping, tissue swelling, irregular heart rates, dizziness, anxiety, regulating of your body temperature, hay fever? Does this happen after you eat certain foods? Is something triggering it? There's certain medications that can also cause a histamine intolerance. So you need an enzyme, DAO, which diamine oxidase. And if you are not producing enough of this enzyme, then when you eat those high histamine foods, you can have this intolerance and you could experience these unwanted symptoms. So there are certain foods and medications that block the production of these enzymes. You want to also look at bacteria overgrowth, the condition of your gut lining, because they too can block this enzyme production that your body so needs to deal with the histamine. So basically, what's left? What do you eat? And what supplements can help you? Obviously, check with your medical practitioner. This is for empowering information to you to think out of the box if you're experiencing any of these conditions. Fresh meats, wild salmon, vegetables low in histamine, olive oil, dairy substitutes like coconut milk or almond milk, gluten-free grains. You want to stay away from gluten, non-citrus fruits, berries. These are the foods that can help you. Again, everyone's different, so keep a food journal to determine what works best for you. And as far as the strategies, you want to heal your gut with a great probiotic. You want to stay away from the glyphosate foods that are taking away your beneficial bacteria. You want to also nourish your adrenal system, because that's important, and that you would do with getting your lifestyle factors under control, such as dealing with stress in a positive manner, getting to sleep the same day you wake up, making sure you are sleeping with the rhythm of the sun, and really heal your body. Listen to a restorative, meditative music to really calm down. and replace the gut bacteria, the beneficial bacteria we all could use so much. Eat those healing foods and look to vitamin C, because vitamin C is going to help with the histamine. Vitamin C is also needed to nourish your adrenal system. Ginger is also another good thing. You could just slice it and put it in tea, hot water. You could put it in your water bottle. But ginger is going to help with the inflammation. It's going to help with the histamine, as well as turmeric. There's a lot of turmeric teas, organic, of course, that are out there. And if you have seasonal allergies, then some of the symptoms overlap. So there is a product called D-Hist that has quercetin and nettles leaf, as well as bromelain, NAC, which is a super antioxidant, and vitamin C that can help you. And vitamin C also is helpful to produce that enzyme DAO, which is responsible for breaking down the histamine in your body. So if you haven't been feeling good after you eat certain foods, or you have seasonal allergies, just know that there are alternatives out there, and you can look into the supplementation, changing your diet, keeping a food journal, as well as getting functional medicine testing so you can feel your best to achieve all of your dreams and aspirations, because you're here for a reason. And you want to achieve everything and live a wonderful, happy life. And in order to do that, you got to feel your best. So remember, your health is worth it because you are worth it. And don't forget to read 1 page a day in Healthy Living Every Day, Your Wellness Blueprint, available on Amazon. I'll see you at the next video. Bye now.